Okay, this video is to make a Morse code oscillator. This oscillator that I have here was originally an oscillator that blinked a light emitting diode. So I changed the components so that it would be up in the audio frequency range so you could hear it. That way you could practice your Morse code. I made another video of this that's called Option 1, and it is a video on soldering it all together. But I wanted to make this video too in case you wanted it breadboarded and then use it, and when you're done with it you can take the parts apart and use them for something else, which is what I did with this. Most of these components are salvaged. The speaker, the two capacitors, and the variable resistor are all from a old answering machine. The other resistors are from just from other parts. The two transistors came out of an old ham radio. So I did this without spending really any extra money, except for the Morse code keyer and the battery. Now these two resistors, I need to point out, these two, they're a parallel pair. And the reason I did that, I didn't have 230 ohm resistors. I had 460 ohm resistors. I had 4 of them. So I put them in parallel to make 230 ohms. So these are 230 ohms. These here, the parts list has the values of these, and I'll mention them during the video. So what I'm going to do is go through the circuit and then you can build it. Eventually I'll have another video out on how to learn Morse code. So between these 3 videos, the Option 1, the Morse code oscillator Option 1, Morse code oscillator Option 2, and then there'll be the learning Morse code video. With those 3, you should be set to learn Morse code if you're interested in learning Morse code. So I will also leave a link to the original oscillator. So let's get going on the circuit. Okay, we are going to start our adventure through this circuit up here at the power supply, which is either a 9-volt cell, such as this, or you can use one of these, a bowl of spaghetti, a wall wart, whichever you like. So we'll start up here at our 9-volt source. Our positive lead goes off to this positive, through this knob, through the positive rail. The positive rail, each of these 5 little holes are connected, but these are not connected with these, are not connected with these. This is a jumper to jump them all together. So I could spread it out and make it easier to see what's going on. So that wire is this long wire. Now, we're going to go this way, start at this end and go around, because it's just easier that way for me to explain it. So we're going to skip all that for now and go all the way to the end and go to our first resistor, resistor 1. It is connected to this capacitor. It's connected right here to this positive rail. Comes over here and comes down and connects to this capacitor's. You'll notice this black band here. We're going to move it up. That is the negative band. That band tells you that's the negative side of this electrolytic capacitor. They are polarized. It'll go through this capacitor over here, and that can be seen here. It goes to the negative side, goes through there, and jumps over to this brown wire. This brown wire goes over to our resistor pair here. these guys are in parallel because it's totally 230 ohms. I didn't have a 230 ohm resistor. I had two 450s, 460s. Put them in parallel, cuts them in half, makes them around 230. From there, it goes up this brown wire to this variable resistor, which is 60 ohms to 2 kilo ohms. It's connected on this leg. This leg connected to nothing. We don't have that connected to anything. This one is, this top of this variable resistor goes on the positive rail. Then we come down here, back to our back to our resistor pair, and I'm going to back up all the way to the capacitor. I'm going to go back through the capacitor backwards to this junction. At this junction, we will go past the capacitor, not through it, past it to this transistor. Now, our transistor is a 2N2222. Its pinout looks like this. Its face, if it's laying like this, its face is towards you. So it's a face up. We have an emitter, a base, and a capacitor. A collector. So we flipped him around so his face is on this side. He's looking away from you. That puts it on his collector. So it goes into the collector, goes through, and it goes to this base. This base is this big long wire right here that we are going to get to later. You don't see the long wire, it's this one right here. Let's move him up a bit, because we need to move him up a bit. So it goes through his base on this long wire, and then it continues to go through his base. We're going to go over to emitter, which is grounded to our ground rail. This little wire here is just like the top. These 5 are connected, but not these 5. So we put a jumper in there for that blue emitter. And I believe that took care of all of this. We are now going to go, we can go over. We can continue on through here and jump back up into the other transistor sitting there, and we are on his emitter also. So the base is these resistors, connects him back to the positive side of the capacitor. So let's jump on through him. This wire, by the way, is connecting our negative rail over to our switch, which we'll get to in a moment. So you go through here to the collector, take a right on that wire, and go to capacitor number 2. Capacitor number 2, we're connected to the positive side. On the positive side, we go off to the speaker. But let's finish up this capacitor and go through the capacitor to this long wire that came from the base of this transistor. And splits off there at the negative end. It goes up to his to the positive rail and connects with these double resistors, which is my second pair of parallel resistors, just like the other ones. I didn't have any 230s, but I had some more 430s. Okay, so we're going to jump back here, and we're over to our speaker. Where we left off here, At this, we went through the speaker to here to our positive lead. From there, we'll go back through our speaker. Go from the positive, we're done. We're done with all of this. All we have is the negative side of our connections, which is here. Goes around to here. I don't know why these are having so much trouble staying in. I'm dragging them around and I'm pinching them down, but they're not staying. I pull on them and they fall out. So we go through here. Like I say, this guy is the same as a switch. So it goes through the switch and back to the negative rail right there. And that's your drive around this circuit. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. I went up to our variable resistor. Yeah, I didn't miss anything. I got our jumper there. I clarified our jumper for the two. And this guy over to our switch. So that's it. Now all we have to do is see if he works, which he better. Okay, we'll see if it works. It does work. This little variable resistor here has changed the tone, but not the volume. I tried to put a amplifier on it, but it didn't seem to work, so I left it off. If I ever get that on there and make it work, I'll do an add-on video for it. Other than that, here it is. I'm going to eventually have a Morse Code video on how to learn Morse Code. When I put that up, you can use this oscillator to practice on that Morse Code video. Thank you for watching. If you like this, please give it a like and subscribe. Thank you again, and hope you like this and actually make the oscillator.